material and is going back again throughout several pages of conversations as artisans coming in.
Never walked into a room like this. She was meticulous. It was how she was holographic, of course, of her life. And when you look at the start of her career,
Nice green shirt you have on.
she was resilient. She just kept telling herself forward. And one of the
Look at Carl. Carl's with it.
Yeah, I thought it's tomorrow.
Carl is a.
I really goofed up.
Let's, hey, it's 10 days.
Happens a lot to all of these offices.
10 days?
10 days.
You gotta focus and there's,
Drinking Guinness, is that?
the office they really want, is it available?
Carl's a fashion statement.
Chris's bow tie there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've had it for
How
years.
how can you say that? He doesn't even tie it. It's a fake.
Well, where's yours, Mr. Martin?
Why didn't you wear your tie? There you are. Oh, there you go.
Martin's Irish.
Well, that makes up for it. You didn't even make those
I
socks.
got these free from the blood
Didn't
bank.
even make
Oh, really?
Did you darn those socks?
I gave blood last year and didn't realize I was,
He knitted
Gonna
those
get
socks
sacked.
himself.
We're gonna stab us in his socks.
Oh, well, that'd be the best part, yeah.
Oh, very good. Look at, Carl, look at the suspenders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, good.
Leper County.
This is a contest here.
I think you won if it's.
They're very nice. They at Walmart or? Oh, and the hat too?
Green, little green wave on it.
You're just too much.
I
It
didn't,
doesn't have anything to do with the green,
I
right?
didn't think the biggest debate today would be about bow ties and socks.
You are.
We'll call the meeting to order. This is the King County Transportation Meeting for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. We have quite a few action items to get through today, I think 13 or so. I need a motion and a second
You need
to,
a roll call.
okay, roll call.
Berman,
Here.
Iqbal,
Iqbal here.
thank you. Kenyon,
Here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Kopi,
Kopi's present.
Wonicky,
Wonicky present.
Martin,
present.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
thank you. Fraz,
Here. And as usual, please identify yourself if you're on Zoom and you'd like to speak. I need a motion and a second to approve our minutes from February 16th, 2021.
Caius move.
Wonicky moves.
By Kai-
Wonicky seconds.
Moved by Caius, second by Wonicky. Roll call.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
approved.
Okay, minutes are approved. Is there any public comment online? We have nobody present in the chamber. Any public comment? Nothing. We'll move on to the finance report, February transportation finance report. Tom?
All right, the report's in your packet. I really don't have much to add to it. We are starting to finalize the transportation improvement program, which I'll be talking a little bit about here today. And that feeds directly into our budgeting process. That's all I have at this time.
Okay, if there's any questions for Tom, maybe talk to him after the meeting on the finance. Item 4B is our first resolution. This is approving personnel hiring. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Caius, second by Mr. Berman. Tom?
We have one highway maintainer vacancy that we would like to get county board authorization to hire, and so staff is recommending approval.
It's just a replacement then.
Yes.
Questions or comments?
It's a full timer.
Full-time position?
Yes. Yes.
Place for retired farmers.
anything else? Okay, then we'll do roll call.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Oniki,
Moniki, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Carries. Item 5, under the maintenance section, 5A, maintenance report. Tom?
Yep, the maintenance report is in your packet. As of March 6th, we had been out 45 times with the estimated salt usage of about 10,000 tons. This time last year, we had been out about 34 times. We are also in the process of pulling together, working with the purchasing department, pulling together a salt bid for April. That's all I have as far as the maintenance report.
Any questions for Tom? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is a resolution. This is approving a contract with MG Mechanical for replacement of the steam heater in Building B. Tom?
Yeah, the heaters in our primary maintenance building, the old building maintenance or the Building B, are from 1949, and they have surpassed their useful life. And so we've gone out for bids, and the recommended bid is with MG Mechanical Services Inc. for $47,700. We are also recommending a 15% contingency of $7,155. So the overall appropriation is $54,855. Staff is requesting approval.
Questions or comments?
I have a
Nikki?
quick question. 1949, boy, they don't build them like that anymore, I guess.
Well,
But the new ones,
Don't last.
yeah, but the new ones, they should probably be a lot more efficient, correct?
Yeah, I would believe so. I'm not very knowledgeable about it, but
Or, yeah, I mean, that hopefully that's what we're looking at, like
Quite
a
a-
highly more efficient, yeah, okay.
About the extended warranty, though, on the.
Yeah, trying to get the warranty. I think that's spectacular that lasted that long.
That's amazing, yeah.
Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, we'll roll call that one. We had a motion and a second
I'll
on that.
move it.
Mr. Kenyon, Ms.
Second.
Wonicky. Roll call.
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Oniki,
Moniki, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, planning and programming report.
there's a few items here I just want to mention, and then get into a little bit more detail on the transportation improvement program. We continue to work on the comprehensive road improvement plan update. I am going to go over a few things once we get to that agenda item in regards to the public hearing. We also have the Council of Mayors newsletter, so you should have that available. And then just a little bit of discussion on the transportation improvement program. Last month, I showed the committee the list of various projects and asked for any final feedback. A few of you did get a hold of me and discuss some different items that we need to take a look at. So in your packet, you do have a 13-page transportation improvement program. And so I just wanted to touch upon some of the different aspects of that. This is our financial plan. It is our 5-year financial plan. It's an annual update that we bring before this committee to discuss our 5-year financial plan. In the ultimate document, which I brought a copy for those of you that are in here. It's about an 80-page document that goes into all our proposed revenues and expenditures over the next 5 years. And again, this is an annual document. It's a working document. We adjust the various costs associated with expenditures of different projects. So in that document, there's this spreadsheet that I'm just going to go over, and it shows the revenues. The first major box is all of our various revenues that we anticipate over the next 5 years. In the green circle that you see there, all the revenues are listed below it. And then there's the 5-year estimates, forecasts of the various revenues coming in. And then we have a multi-year, which is year 6+. So you see all the various revenue sources, property taxes, sales tax, motor fuel tax, county local option. So everything's listed there. In the pinkish circle is where the expenditures start, and all the remaining 12 pages are all various expenditures. And each major category is a green line. So there's the personnel, and then pretty much all of our other contractual services follow that. Moving on. A couple of the items that are changing. The first one I want to just talk about a little bit is riding cane. There's been a number of county board members that have come to the committee as well as to staff and have discussed the possibility of starting to expand riding cane. Also, on top of that, we're looking at trying to figure out ways to enhance those services and maybe even perhaps starting to look at trips out west of Randall Road a little bit more often. All of that has costs associated with it. Each trip is around $38 a trip, and about half of that cost is federal funding. And so we typically in the past have budgeted around $130,000, and this is just kind of a placeholder number, but over the next 5 years, we have put in a number of around $300,000. This funding would come from the sales tax, because one of the primary items in the sales tax revenue, the RTA sales tax is for transit services, and so this funding would come out of that. And it also is a situation too that we would potentially look at enhancing what the county does as far as assisting overall with that program. We do have the mobility management at this point in time, but there might be additional services that we'll be looking at next year. So that's the first item I wanted to talk about briefly. Again, this is a major program. It utilizes small buses, minivans, and taxis. Curb to curb. In 2019, we had almost 90,000 trips that were provided through riding cane. Moving on, the next item I wanted to highlight was an Orchard Road fence repair. This is an item that the Division of Transportation, as well as county board members, has been working with the city of Aurora over the last couple years to try to plan on putting it in the program. The city of Aurora and the county are currently working on an intergovernmental agreement that sometime probably in the next 3 to 6 months you'll see coming before the committee. And then ultimately the primary bulk of this improvement is paid for with part of the capital bill that was approved by the state 2 years ago. Some of that monies have not fully come to fruition. But right now, we're just putting the $500,000 that the city has asked us to program in the multi-year. That way it's within the program, and whenever they're ready to move on it, we'll move that forward as part of our overall budget. The next item I wanted to talk about was Kirk over UP Railroad. This is a temporary maintenance that we need to do for that bridge before we do the full replacement of it in a couple years. And the total cost of that is $300,000 construction as well as phase 2 engineering at $25,000. So that's been added into the program. And then Gallican Road at Freeman Road. This is a project that Last month, after I requested the committee give comments on needed improvements, County Board Member Kopi asked that we add this to the program. We also did a warrant analysis relative to signalization, and signals are warranted at this intersection. It's a pretty busy intersection. If you look at its location, Freeman Road connects from Illinois 47 to Gallican Road. And so this intersection at this location has a lot of east-west traffic that comes in and is trying to make a turning movement at that location. So again, it meets signal warrants, so we've added that to our program to start developing the project. And then two others that are listed here, Randall Road at Alf Lane. This is also a new project. This is just south of I-90. And then Randall at Highland Avenue, the potential feasibility study. So just to talk about those a little bit, Randall at Alf Lane, City of Elgin is currently doing a project, and they're widening Alf Lane. Currently, if you try to get onto Randall Road, there's a significant amount of delay at this intersection because there's not enough capacity on Alf Lane. As their consultant, as part of that, explored the idea of widening Randall Road northbound from Alf Lane all the way up to I-90. A significant portion of the Randall Road traffic, almost 40% of it, is actually taking a right onto I-90 when they're heading northbound during the peak hour. So this improvement makes a lot of sense, and it would be a good improvement that would accommodate traffic for the next 10 years. The estimated cost for this improvement is around $1 million, and staff feels like that with the City of Elgin taking the lead to move the project forward and the county share of it being $1 million, it's worth doing this improvement. And then the Highland at Randall Road intersection. This is an intersection that has a significant amount of concerns. There are a couple churches at this location. There's a retaining wall along Highland in the northeast corner. There's 17 homes along Randall Road on the southwest side. So there's a lot of potential issues, and so we need to, while this is starting to potentially have capacity problems, and it may take a good 10 years or so to develop, it's really important that we maybe consider starting to look at it. But it also has a lot of various concerns. County Board Member Iqbal has requested that we add this and start looking at what those potential issues are. The right-of-way is only 95 feet in width at this location, and typical right-of-way for Randall Road is 170 to 200 feet wide. So very tight right-of-way, and again, obstacles for doing this improvement. This is not a short-term improvement, this is a long-term improvement. And then the final item is just kind of the end costs. We always try to make sure that the 5-year financial plan is balanced. And so if there are costs exceeding our revenues, we put those in the multi-year. And so right now, we do have a balanced 5-year financial program, but the overall cost is around 165 million of unfunded projects currently. So we do have a significant shortfall for the projects that are being proposed. And so I wanted to also make you aware of that. So that's my overview for planning and programming. That's all I have for the.
Any questions for Tom? Mr. Kenyon?
On the news, they were talking about Lake County putting in an additional 4 cents gas tax. I remember when I first came on the board, all the collar counties could do up to 4 cents. And we did 2 one time and then two another. Is this additional 4 on top of that?
Yes, as part of the capital bill that was passed 2 years ago by the state of Illinois, it allows, I think it's 4 or 5 of the northeastern Illinois counties to increase their local option to 8 cents. And so that is a possibility in the future if that's a consideration.
Don't tell the state's attorney. That'll be the money for all her additional lawyers.
But what the rule, isn't the rule that has to go to transportation, doesn't it?
Yes, the local option has to go to transportation.
Yeah, but we do have
Transportation lawyers.
we do have some room to do that if we were to want to. Mr. Martin?
I just have a general question. When you mentioned the Gallican Road intersection, it seems like all of our roundabouts have proven to be successful. Are we, when we look at intersections that would otherwise be appropriate, do we
Proved to be.
prioritize roundabouts as the method of dealing with those intersections before we deal with electric controls, or how do we make that decision?
We have looked at, especially when we have like a phase 1, when we're exploring options, we have looked at roundabouts. That decision here at this location, that's something that we might initially evaluate. We've also looked at, because the warrants are already there and the right-of-way only accommodates signals at this time. At this location, we're leaning towards moving forward with the signals.
Okay, yeah, my only thought was, it just seems to be, if circumstances allow it, just seems to be the best way to, and most cost-effective way to deal with the intersections. And I just wanted to make sure.
There's a certain volume at which, I
understand there
Yeah.
are certain intersections that they don't work, but I would certainly like to.
Yeah, it is one of the things that we continue to explore when the opportunity arises.
Bunker and Kesslinger will be our next roundabout, and that's like a perfect
The
example.
Drew Fraz roundabout.
That's the Drew Fraz roundabout. And that's a perfect example because it's a country intersection where there's big surges because of the train station. So it can handle those big surges, and the rest of the day, you don't really have to stop.
I'm very much in favor of them. I just wanted to.
In our toolbox.
Comment, Kopi?
Top level.
The Kopi roundabout, where's that gonna be?
Mr. Copey?
Yeah. Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Tom, for putting that on the 5-year plan. Just chime in with Mr. Martin. I didn't even think of the roundabout. That would be an awesome option. I know that property to the west is vacant, and I happen to know the landowner, and he'd be amenable to allowing some extension into that property without any undue circumstances or pressure if you wanted to expand the roundabout. And then the other thing is regardless if it's roundabout or turn lanes, there's going to be expenses on turn lanes versus the roundabout. So all that engineering and construction would have to take place eventually anyway. So I would be in favor of a roundabout. That would be fun. And then the other thing would be about that is if we just temporarily, I think the spacing or the placement of the lights on the intersection, I don't know exactly how that all works, but if we intend to have a turn lane off of Binney Road, we'd have to get the highway commissioner involved, perhaps. And I think he could be worked with. But that would determine where the placement of the light would be, I would assume. And I'd like to make sure we explore that option, because even if there was a light, sometimes the cars are backed up a half a mile, so in all 3 directions. So it's a problem. There's no question about it. It needs to be addressed. And a turn lane would probably, a cheap turn lane on that township road might be something to consider when you do the placement of the lights. So I don't know. Like I say, I don't know how that all stops. But as
Yeah.
far as a roundabout, I like that idea, and I can help you acquire the property to expand that if it's possible.
At staff level, we can figure out a way to at least evaluate it. The concern potentially is the added years to the project to just design it and to acquire right of way if necessary. Right now, we have the right of way to proceed within the next year or so with the signal. Roundabout might be more like 3 to 5 years. So that's the primary concern that we would have, is since it already meets warrants. But that's something we can evaluate.
And just keep in mind the timeline from concept to construction's fairly long on things like that. But yeah, that may be an ideal scenario for a roundabout, and we'll certainly look at it. Other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Bates?
I would like to say that I am excited to see the Orchard Road fence repair and construction forecasted. It may be forecasted out to 2026, but I'm still excited. And Tom, I'll be giving you a call later for more details, but thank you for getting it on there.
No problem. Mr. Caius?
yes, just, I had a question about Alft Road. I know that Alft is projected in the Randall over 90 when they did the program. How does that, what you're talking about, these changes, just adding that right-hand lane going north, affect or mesh with the Randall over 90 plans that?
Some of that is difficult to assess fully at this point in time. The Randall 90 interchange project is more of a 10 to 20 year planning effort, so it's a pretty significant planning effort. Initially, our look at this is that this would be an interim improvement that would significantly benefit the highway system over the next 10 to 20 years. And we did speak with a consultant about how this would play into that improvement, and they believe that there's aspects of this improvement that would be able to be utilized in the ultimate improvement. So at this point in time, though, I would coin it as an interim improvement.
Other questions or comments?
Drew?
Oh, Mr. Brown, sorry.
Thanks,
You're in
Mr.
the-
Chair. Tom, I do have a question. Going back all the way to the first page of your projections, one of the items on there was the forecasted amount for the tax revenue from the gasoline tax. And that doesn't seem to be changing very much throughout the 5 years. And isn't there some concern that with all the electric vehicles being proposed, that could dwindle down?
Yeah, there is concern. I mean, we've already seen motor fuel tax plateau. So there is some concern that with the electric vehicles that one of our primary revenue sources, that it would start to lessen.
So to the point of Mr. Kenyon bringing up how Lake County, I think you said, Mike, has raised theirs another 4 cents. I've always been a proponent of the gasoline tax, and it's a user tax. So if the committee would like to consider that in the future, I would be supportive of taking a look at that.
Yeah, we can certainly maybe in the next meeting or two, if we could maybe have a breakdown of what the other counties are at and what they've done. And, the other challenge is you can raise the motor fuel tax as high as you want, but the electric vehicles are paying zero. So I wish there was a way of capturing something on the electric vehicles, either at point of time of sale or something like that. But that's certainly something we could discuss, have on our agenda.
Is that something, Tom, can you speak to that at all? I know Mayor Schalke has spoke to that quite often, where with the electric vehicles being proposed as a loss of revenue for the gasoline tax, motor fuel tax, that, the state's taking a look at how they can make up that difference, whether it be through license plate fees or some type of tracking of mileage of these vehicles, something to that extent.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussions that have been occurring both at the national level and the state level, and even the Northeastern Illinois level at CMAP. And so there are different considerations being evaluated. CMAP has even advocated towards some pilot programs to look at the vehicle miles traveled aspect. So there are some different considerations going on. Ultimately, whatever occurs would need state legislative efforts. So.
Let's plan on, over the next couple meetings, within 2 meetings, let's try and start down that road so that the committee knows if it has to do some kind of action. But yeah, we can certainly do that. So thank you.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Caius?
Just a comment that the license fees for electric vehicles have already been bumped up with that last. I know those of us who pay that noticed it was significantly higher. So it has made a difference, but I do promote, or I'm in favor of certainly investigating raising the tax on gas.
Mr. Kenyon?
I was going to point that out, but the money never seems to come back to the people that build the roads, which is the counties. The state keeps that money. It's a funny thing that happens that way. Black hole of Sangamon.
You need to look at ways to replace that revenue, and we'll start down that road slowly. Okay, if there's no other comments. 6B, item 6B, a resolution establishing a public hearing date for our impact fee ordinance. Tom?
Yeah, the Impact Fee Advisory Committee met on March 5th, and they voted to recommend establishing a public hearing date on Wednesday, June 9th, to consider the projected land use assumptions for the impact fee program. Just real quickly, I just wanted to present, in your packet, you have the full presentation to the Impact Fee Advisory Committee. What occurred was a solicitation of socioeconomic data assumptions, and this was households, population, employment, and it was done through an online mapping, and it feeds into our overall modeling efforts for those of you that understand how we do our modeling. The land use assumptions that we received quite a bit of municipal input that included 105 online map comments, 13 municipalities commented. I just also wanted to show you the general timeline. That's part of your packet. The land use assumptions will ultimately go through this hearing process with a county board approval in September. And again, that feeds into the comprehensive road improvement planning effort that will be occurring in the fall. Again, staff is recommending approval of the resolution that establishes the public hearing date.
Yeah, and I would like to highlight what Tom said about the comments we received. I think it was 118 or something, and only like 13 were from municipalities. So we had quite a bit of interest on people following that. Let's get a motion in a second first. So
I'll
moved
move
by
it.
Ms. Wonicky, second by Mr. Berman. Comments and questions, Ms. Wonicky?
Just a quick comment. This might be an opportunity to think about how to replace some of the dollars from the motor fuel tax that will be, it'll be going down in the future. So perhaps that's something we should think about with our the impact fee going forward.
That can certainly be part of that discussion.
Yeah, that might be a good opportunity.
Other comments, questions? So we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Wonicky,
Wonicky, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. We'll move on to item C, approving software and implementation services contract with Cartograph. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Berman, second by Mr. Caius. Tom?
Yeah, this is software that we've been utilizing for a number of years, since 2005. It's an asset management software. All of our signage and other applications are utilized through this software. We also jointly work with the Forest Preserve. The contract is through the Division of Transportation, but it also includes Forest Preserve services. It's a 3-year contract. There's a savings of about $25,000 overall by the Forest Preserve and the Division of Transportation working together. Staff is recommending approval.
Questions or comments? We have motion and a second, so roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copy,
Opie, yes.
Wonecki,
Wonecki, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Item carries. Item D is the related IGA with the Forest Preserve on that issue to share those services with Cartograph. Moved by Mr. Caius, second by Ms. Wonecki. Questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copy,
Opie, yes.
Wonecki,
Wonecki, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Item E is approving another IGA with the Forest Preserve. This one's for the Fabian Parkway multi-use plan. Need a motion by Mr. Caius, second by Mr. Berman. Tom?
Yeah, this is for the Fabian multi-use path along Fabian between Illinois 25 and the Settlers Hill access point. This is a path that has been there for quite a while. It's in disrepair. Most of it is on Forest Preserve property, but doing some research of the improvement, it was a county improvement that was put in about 30 years ago. And so what we've done is we put together just basically it's an agreement of a construction / maintenance easement. And it addresses, again, you can see by the aerial here, the path in the Forest Preserve property for having that maintenance occur. We are looking at this year potentially doing some of the improvements to that path. And so therefore the need for the easement in order to work within the Forest Preserve property. Staff is recommending approval.
And just keep in mind that the portion shown in the middle there could very well end up being a redevelopment project where the developer may end up being able to chip in on that. I need a motion and a second on that.
Martin moves.
Moved by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Kenyon. Discussion, any further comments or
Question.
questions? Mr. Caius?
Just curious, maybe just for my edification on the resolution itself on page, whatever that little number is, 98 or something like that. The terms, the county ongoing maintenance of the path at the expenses of the county, is it supposed to be expense of the county? Or is this a legal term that I just have never seen before? It says expenses of the county.
I don't know. I will look it up and see.
It's probably, it's a scrivener's error, but just curious.
Like
It's not mine either, so
It's old
Comment,
English.
Copy?
listed twice in both the resolution, the summation and the,
Okay, well, we will review that prior to the county board and exec. Mr. Copey,
Comment,
go ahead.
Copy?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question I have is, how many dollars are we anticipating for this improvement from the county taxpayers as a whole to this location?
I don't know if this item really spells out a dollar value. It's really just the agreement.
Yeah, I could probably get that number for you unless Steve has it off the top of his head. Because there is some engineering that's been completed on this, so we could probably find out for.
Okay, so Tom, we'll get that number possibly during the course of the meeting. If not, we'll get it to you after. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead. Steve Koffenberger.
The engineer's estimate is being put together, and since we haven't put this out to bid, that isn't something that we typically announce publicly. So it's in the range of $400,000 to $500,000. I could give you the number.
Okay. So roughly in the range of $400,000 to $500,000, Tom, to be determined, to be dialed in a little better in the future.
What is the primary objective to the path?
Say that again?
What is the primary objective of this path? And I'm sorry I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Well, I would imagine just connectivity between all the activities on at Settlers Hills and the Forest Preserve properties along there, and of course along a main thoroughfare. But
It does connect the Fox River Trail System to the Kirk Road Trail System. So it's a pretty major east-west connection.
we just redid the Kirk Road path, so this would connect to that.
So it's a portion to the entire pathway system?
Yeah, this is part of the entire system. So it connects
Okay,
down to
thank-
the Fox River Trail at Fabian Park, then goes east to the Kirk Road Trail. Other questions or comments? And did we have a vote on that yet?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, and we'll be voting on the approval of this IGA with the Forest Preserve.
Was it moved twice?
Yeah, it was Caius and Berman. And
Okay.
That was the first one?
Yes, okay. Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kopi, Woniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item 7 is traffic operations and permitting report. Tom?
I don't have anything at this point in time to add to the permit report.
Okay, we have one ordinance under that section. We have an ordinance amending the wireless communication facility agreement. Need a motion and a second on item 7B. Moved by Mr. Kenyon, second by Mr. Martin. Tom?
We did pass this a couple years ago, back in 2018, and since that point in time, the different providers of wireless telecommunication, AT&T and Verizon, had approached the county and requested some changes to the agreement. Our state's attorney's office worked with those providers, and so we're recommending these changes. Staff recommends approval.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Caius?
Was this, the way I read it, was this just mostly equipment, modern equipment kind of identification or specifications on it? Or was it had
Yeah, this primarily goes to the aspect of allowing the wireless telecommunication to actually go on county facilities. So on some of our poles and such within the right of way. And because of that, there's different requirements that follow through with that to ensure the safety of the motoring public, as well as the, what you call it, protection of our equipment.
Other questions or comments? I have a motion and a second on that, so we will roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Woniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes. We'll move on to project implementation. We do have 5 resolutions under that section, but Steve, the implementation report.
I don't have anything to add to the IMP report that shows our ongoing design and construction projects. We can move to the photo if
Okay, go ahead.
there aren't any questions. Okay, the one photo we have today for you is for Long Meadow Parkway C2, which has a end of July completion date. And this photo shows the beams that were placed across Sandbloom William Road. So as weather allows, work has continued slowly over the winter. That's all I have for you.
That was the last big link in the chain on Long Meadow, connecting that bridge to the road system to the east. Questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to 8B, our first resolution and approving agreement for on-call material testing services. I need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Berman, second by Mr. Caius. Steve?
This is a recurring material testing contract to test aggregates and asphalt and concrete and do soil borings for us. We completed the qualifications-based selection process and selected state testing for the services. This is on a task order basis, so it's on-call services not to exceed $450,000 over the next 3 years.
Okay, questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Present.
Present, Moniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8C, another resolution approving a contract for construction. This is the 2020 Bridge Rehabilitation Services Package. Motion and a second, moved by Ms.
I'll move
Wanicki,
it.
second by Mr. Berman. Steve?
Staff grouped 8 small bridge maintenance projects together. We put this out to bid. We received 6 bids, and the lowest qualified bid by Path Construction Company was for $347,000 and change. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, questions or comments? Mr. Caius?
I had made a note about local funds. Is that listed in there somewhere?
It is entirely locally funded. That's on the last sentence.
Right, and that's local funds are identified as, the source is,
It's in the resolution, the fund source.
Yeah.
Local option fund item number 304, repairs and maintenance of bridges.
there you go.
Toll roads up north.
Gas tax.
So that's direct link to what we were just discussing on the gas tax funds. Other questions or comments? Did we do a roll call on that?
No.
Okay, so roll call vote.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Moniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Motion passes. Item 8D, another resolution, another contract for construction. This is for the Harder Road culvert replacement. Motion and a second. Moved by
I'll move it.
Nikki, second by Mr. Kenyon. Steve?
So this culvert is located northwest of the intersection on Harder at Doberman. We put out this, we received 4 bids on this project. The lowest qualified bid was submitted by D Construction at $413,000 and change. Staff recommends approval, and this one is funded with local option also.
Questions or comments? Seeing
Comment,
none,
Kopi.
Mr. Kopi, go ahead.
Would that be a replacement into concrete, or is it existing concrete?
Yes, it's likely concrete, but I can get back to you and confirm that, whether it's precast or cast in place. I don't have those details at my fingertips.
It's a full replacement project, I would assume, by the price, so yes. Other
Okay, assuming it's concrete, I'll bid accordingly, or vote accordingly.
Say again, I couldn't understand the end there.
I'm sorry, assuming it's concrete replacement or precast replacement, I'll bid accordingly.
Yes. Okay, other questions or comments? If not, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Moniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8E, Another resolution approving agreement and appropriation with AT&T for utility relocation at Harmony Road Culvert Replacement Project. Need a motion and a second. Moved by
Caius move.
Mr. Caius, second by Mr. Berman. Steve?
Last spring, the county awarded a construction contract to remove and replace 2 culverts on Harmony Road. Unfortunately, we had to delay construction. We ran into various utilities that needed to be relocated to accommodate these culverts. Since then, staff and our Special Assistant State's Attorney coordinated with AT&T and have agreed upon an equitable allocation of the cost to complete the AT&T utility relocation at $94,000 and change.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Hope yes.
Oniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Item 8F, a resolution authorizing acquisition of highway right-of-way. This is for Orchard Road at Route 30. Need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Berman, second by Mr. Caius. Steve?
Let me start over. We've completed our Phase 1 engineering for Orchard at US 30 intersection reconstruction improvement. We've identified the right-of-way needed for that project, 3 parcels, which includes 2 temporary easements and 1 take. We have negotiated with those property owners, made offers to them, and this resolution allows, should negotiations with the property sellers fail or stall, staff will be able to pursue eminent domain to acquire the necessary easements and right-of-way for this improvement.
Okay. Questions or comments? If not, roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Hope yes.
Oniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Item 9, I need a motion and a second to place all of our reports from today on file.
Caius move.
Moved by Mr. Caius, second by
I'll
Ms.
second.
Warnicki. There's no questions and comments. Roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Hope yes.
Oniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
Reports are on file. Item 10, we do have need for executive session, so I'd ask, and executive session is in order to talk about land acquisition. So I need a motion and a second to go into executive session.
Caius move.
Mr. Caius moves, Mr. Berman seconds. Excuse me. Roll call, please.
Berman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Hope yes.
Oniki,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Thank you.
We'll move into executive session. I'd ask somebody to
Okay, everybody,
us up.
everybody online, please watch your screen for an invite into the closed session. If you're on your phone, you will automatically be taken there. It'll take a couple of moments. Be aware that we are still streaming live on YouTube, and until I give you confirmation we are actually in closed session, your comments will go out live to the public. So give us a moment to get everything transitioned.
It's Caius and Berman going in, correct?
Yes.
It's a good time to get coffee.
Do you have a pointer?
Go for it.
Take just one of these.
Those culverts are precast if we want to tell.
Okay. Hey, Tom Copey, Steve just did confirm that those culverts in question are precast concrete.
Okay, we're still waiting for a few folks to accept the invitation to the closed session. We will be leaving you outside the room. You can accept at any time. Last chance.
Okay, we're back in open session. I will ask the secretary to do a roll call.
Berman,
Herman here.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius present.
Kopi,
Kopi is present.
Winnicki, Martin,
Martin present.
Shepro.
We are back in,
Shepro present.
back in open session. I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the resolution authorizing the conveyance of excess right-of-way at Orchard Road and Route 30.
Martin
Caius.
moves.
Caius second.
Martin, second by Mr. Caius. Questions or comments? If not, roll call vote.
Berman,
Herman, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Winnicki, she's gone. Martin,
Martin, yes.
thank you.
Resolution passes. Is there any new business to be discussed? Is there any public comment online? Nobody in person? Seen none?
You know, I have an element.
Mr. Martin, go
sorry.
ahead with
Not
comment.
today, because we certainly have spent enough time at this meeting, but I think it was in the Trib over the weekend, there was an article saying that downtown has the empty office space equivalent to 5 Willis Towers, which is impacting our commuter lines and all this other stuff. And I mean, that will at some point in time level off at presumably a lower vacancy rate. But at some point in time, can we have a discussion here or a presentation? And I know that it's Metra's, overall ball of wax, but, we're talking about extending the Metro line out to, somewhere in Kendall County, and we're buying new cars, and I'm all supportive of good public transportation, but I'm just wondering how we're going to reinvent this wheel, because by all indications, something's going to change. And I just want to know if we have any science applied to how we're looking at it. As I say, not today, but at some point in time when you have a chance and we have an agenda that's more manageable.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Hanson, former board member, used to talk about 90% drop in customers on the railroad.
Well, that's what it is. It's
This
down.
little lot over here is always empty, plus the extra lot.
I think the Aurora line has gone from 38,000 a day to 3,800. So, but the point is, there are going to be some big changes, and it's going to impact what we do. And I just want to know that we're thinking about it. And
Yeah, we'll bring forward something. There is a mobility recovery task force that the county board chair and county staff are involved in, and we'll bring back forward some information.
We're in the
on that.
process of replacing our Metro representative.
I understand
And
that.
the Sugar Grove / Kendall extension is one of those things they're going to be tasked with discussing, and we can certainly add this to the list.
Thanks.
Okay, is there anything else? If not, motion to adjourn. Mr. Kenyon makes a motion, Mr. Berman seconds. All in favor?